Hey, that's my people. Hi, my name is Jasmine. This is my visual aid. It is a 3D printed dragon. You can kind of even see the little layers of how it's printed. Yeah, and it's really cool. And this is my speech on 3D printing. Imagine holding almost any small object, a phone case, a toy car, even a working wrench, and knowing that it wasn't manufactured in a factory, but one paper-thin layer at a time right in front of you. That is the magic of 3D printing. Most of us have heard the term 3D printing, but it's more than just a buzzword. 3D printing is already shaping how we design, build, and even heal. Engineers print airplane parts, doctors print custom prosthetics, and chefs even print chocolate sculptures. I became curious about this technology after watching a TikTok video of a person print a keychain from nothing but digital file and melted plastic. It was like watching the future appear right before my eyes, layer by layer. Today, I want to talk about three things. First, what 3D printing actually is. Second, how the process works. And third, some surprising real world uses that are changing industries and everyday life. 3D printing is also called additive manufacturing. It's the process where an object is built layer by layer from a digital design. Think of traditional manufacturing, like carving a statue from a block of marble. You remove materials until you get the shape that you want. 3D printing is actually the opposite. It adds material only to where it's needed, which means far less waste and far more flexibility. The idea isn't brand new though. The first patent was filed in 1984, and for years, 3D printing was mainly used to make prototypes of inventions. But over the past 2 decades, advances in software materials and affordability have transformed it into a tool for finished products, from machine parts to medical devices. So what was once science fiction has become everyday science. Every 3D print begins with a digital design. Engineers and artists use computer-aided design softwares, also known as CADs or CADs, to create or download a 3D model. The model is then sliced into hundreds or thousands of thin layers, just like cutting a loaf of bread but on the screen. Next comes the printing itself. The printer reads those layers and deposits the materials, melted plastics, resins, or even fine metal powders, one layer at a time. Each layer hardens and bonds to the one below it until the object is complete. Finally, in the finishing stage, those support pieces are removed, rough spots are smoothed, and sometimes the object is even painted or polished. Because material is only added where it's needed, 3D printing can create complex shapes that traditional methods simply can't. They're shaped with inner channels, curves, and even moving parts already built in. That efficiency is one reason that industries are turning to 3D printing in a big way. The applications of this technology go far beyond novelty toys and plastic keychains. Medicine is one of the most inspiring examples. Doctors can design prosthetic limbs perfectly fitted to a patient's body at a fraction of the traditional cost. Surgeons can print models of bones and hearts to practice on before real procedures. That increases success rates. Culinary artists print can print chocolate sculptures or even pizza dough. Designers can print patterns on clothes and shoes that will be way too complicated to sew by hand. NASA astronauts even use 3D printing. They print tools on spaceships instead of waiting months for a supply of rockets. Aero engineers can print parts that can create lightweight parts that use less fuel to make planes fly. Schools and maker spaces use 3D printings to let children make phone stands, toys, and even science projects. This allows them to turn their imagination into something they can hold. This reminds us that 3D printing is not a distant technology. It's already here. It changes how we can work every day. Let's return to that object that I showed you guys. Think of your own object. Now you know the process of making something. You can see what 3D printing is and how the process can work layer by layer, and how it is reshaping medicine, food, space, education, and even everyday life. 3D printing reminds us the future isn't only happening in giant factories. It can happen on desktops, classrooms, and maybe even one day in your kitchen counter. It encourages us to look at ordinary things and ask, could this be printed instead of manufactured? So next time you see a small object, a cup, a shoe sole, or even a tool, imagine the possibilities when you could create that object layer by layer. Because of 3D printing, we are not just creating objects, we are building a new way of making things and making and imagining the world. Thank you.
Yay.